The huge first proper patch has finally hit for No Man's Sky Voyagers, bringing many needed fixes to Corvette Building, gameplay and more. This patch grew over the weekend with multiple extra fixes added, bringing it to a ridiculous 79 note patch. But don't worry Tume, I'm back to save you some time. I've organised the patch into stuff you should absolutely 100% know for sure, stuff you may really like to know, and then a bunch you probably won't care about, but it's there if you want to peruse. Firstly are the changes to Corvette Tech. Not only can you now install the tech you should be able to, but also a bug from launch preventing the movement of any core technology, so while you could move the Corvette module tech, you couldn't move the pulse engine, hyperdrive, etc. This has been fixed now, which is very welcome to hear. You can now do the most important thing to any ship and organise its pulse engine modules for max pulse speed, with that beautiful stat, pulse drive power. Check the sublight amplifier section in this video for more info on layouts. You just want to treat the Corvette engine parts like extra greater modules. Corvette Building has had some issues and still does have a few, but a large amount of the bugs have been squashed with this patch. A bug that causes you to only get one part back when deleting multiple of the same part has been sorted. Corvette module trading using the building terminal has been fixed. There was an issue that could cause modules to be lost. They also seem to have fixed the values of parts being traded, making it far more reasonable. A huge bug that caused anything built inside the Corvette with the normal base building mode to be counted toward the Corvette's 100 module limit has been fixed. It now works as intended, though many are still saying 100 modules is not enough, and I do get that when you start messing with big builds and decorations. The Thunderbird landing thrusters module, which are actually pretty badass, now also fill the requirement of putting engines on the Corvette, meaning if you choose those as your landing thrusters, you don't need to put engines on the build if you don't want to, for it to be viable. There was a weird issue where flipped modules were being returned to you as flipped modules instead of just the standard module it should be, and so being unusable once deleted and returned to your inventory. This is now fixed, and any that this happened to will have been returned to a usable state. You may have noticed when building a Corvette that you could build parts into the floor of the space station, giving you parts that would be lower than your landing gear and tough to see due to being in the floor. This was of course a bug and has been fixed now. A bug causing parts that were deleted to be inaccessible when leaving the builder without finalising the modification has been sorted. And finally for the building, the snapping has been improved. Honestly, the snapping has been pretty great for me. If anything, it's the placement of wall pieces inside the Corvettes, such as a weapon rack and posters being a bitch to get straight, that really needs fixing. Lots of good stuff for general Corvette gameplay has also been addressed, such as a bunch of interactions being fixed, some collision issues with the Corvette when trying to spacewalk, and probably the most important one, a number of issues from trying to warp a Corvette with passengers inside it. Fortunately, we do have the ability via the quick menu now to call our ship to us for a quick rescue, but we don't want to be stranded when playing with friends. Another somewhat related and somewhat expected issue has been fixed that could get you stuck in your Corvette graphics when loading a save from within it, as well as loading in floating just outside of it. This floating outside business seems to be like when loading in a station or something from a Corvette restore point. It's much safer to have you load in outside than be stuck in the ship seat because you built something preventing you from leaving. A funky issue has been sorted that caused a planetary base to be flagged as a Corvette, thus assigning it as your primary ship. A number of issues were about regarding the new autopilot, such as when trying to navigate to a station while inside an atmosphere, and the game giving you no reasoning or feedback in general to why it failed. Also, the autopilot should just be generally far smoother in transit and in its alignment. A rare issue when spacewalking onto a derelict, which I hadn't even considered doing until reading this, and now I really want to, that could cause you to get stuck has been fixed. Sometimes docking with a derelict in a Corvette was also causing all of the derelict's doors to open. If you're having trouble docking with your freighter or anyone else's, it should now work. Also, teleporters have been added inside Atlas stations to get you back to your Corvette. Abandon mode has had one very important note, and really this affects all modes, but abandoned the most. Abandoned and pirate stations now have Corvette construction workshops, which means that abandoned modes can also now build Corvettes. This is a huge deal. Considering abandoned mode has no way of obtaining freighters, the Corvette can provide a somewhat similar nomadic base. Unfortunately, there's no matter beam for Corvettes, and you can't access the storage containers you can build on your Corvettes through the ship inventory screen, but it's better than nothing. Next we have a bunch of interesting notes. These are worth knowing and are unlikely to affect a lot of people, but the ones they do affect will very much wish to know. Fixed an issue that prevented VR players from using teleport move up the stairs inside a Corvette. Fixed an issue that prevented players from spacewalking through the entrance beam of a space station. Teleporters for beaming to and from a Corvette now have markers with descriptions and more descriptive labels. Fixed an issue that caused Corvette cockpits to appear solid black in the UI. Fixed an issue that caused part of the Skyborne suit to remain visible in first person. Added a teleporter to return to a docked Corvette from the Atlas station. Fixed an issue that made Corvette docking zones visible when flying regular spaceships. Fixed an issue that caused Corvettes docked at special landing zones alongside freighters and abandoned stations to be launched into the station on takeoff. Fixed an issue that caused the Corvette's automatically deployed teleport endpoint to make odd-shaped terrain edits. Fixed a number of control issues in Corvette cockpits in VR. Fixed an issue that caused Corvettes to fail to dock with the space station if all internal docks were already full. Fixed an issue that caused some multi-tool weapon upgrades to fail to display their upgrade level. Fixed an issue that showed compass icons for plants growing within a Corvette during flight. Fixed a crash that could occur when switching between two Corvettes at a space station. Fixed a crash that could prevent players with large bases from loading into the space anomaly. The remaining 42 patch notes are unlikely to be of interest to the majority of viewers, so I'll be slideshowing them in pages as I'm speaking now, for you to pause and peruse at your leisure. And while it is playing, I'll cover some other news. Firstly are the Twitch drops that come to an end at 2 PM BST on Tuesday. I'll be streaming my final Twitch drop stream just after this video goes live. Starting a new Abandon mode save after we lost the last one to a friggin' tornado, the goal being to be able to join the expedition on that save when it releases on Wednesday. Talking of the Corvette expedition, we know that it will of course focus on the new buildable ships and upgrading one. The rewards are all standard fare except for the unique Corvette cannon module, which I suspect may be a ship rockets upgrade due to the Corvette torpedo modules being for the cyclotron. And a robotic mouse companion, which is just a cutie and quite unique in look to anything we currently have. Hello Games have also done some new merch with Insert Coin. They've kept it super simple with an enamel pin of an anomaly helmet. A t-shirt with a simple yet vibrant design of the Atlas with an almost tempered metal feel to it, and a very nice jacket with subtle Atlas embroidery on the back. Honestly, this stuff is super high quality looking. And that is your lot, Tunes. If you want more No Man's Sky content to watch, plenty on screen now and more coming, including guides for the new expedition as soon as is possible. Peace.